Okay, guys. This is a new thing that we're trying. We're just gonna be randomly talking about random pop culture related things, and we're thinking of renaming our podcast to what is it? Fellowship of the Pop Culture or Fellowship of Pop Culture. We'll figure out as we go along. So with me, I
Fellowship of the
have
Culture.
Fellowship of the Culture, Fellowship popping a podcast about popping pimples. Okay.
Hey,
uh,
I love pimple
I'm sure
popper.
there's something out there with the same kind of thing, features or anything. Okay, I'm just randomly going on. So I have with me three of my favorite boys, Ishwar, Tom, and Shutitha is there trying to connect to his laptop, apparently. And some of the other guys will also be joining in. Shanda, I hope he'll be joining in. So guys, so let's just talk about random things. So first, what I want to address is that we didn't really get to talk about this that much. Chadwick Boseman, his sudden passing.
Rest
So
in
how are you
peace.
feeling? Yeah, rest in peace. So uh, clearly he was one of the finest actors, young actors of our generation, and he has gone. It's a terrible loss. This year has taken a really very big toll on us. Like so many actors have passed, starting from Irfan Khan to now Chadwick Boseman. So, I don't think. Can you, Ishwar, is it a good time to address this? Like, how because it has been 1 or 2 weeks and the
Yeah,
articles are starting to pop up. So,
yeah. I
can we
think
just,
it's time. As difficult as
mm,
it might be for a lot of
as
fans.
it is, yeah. So, what do you guys think about the future for Black Panther in MCU?
Oh,
Where should it go next? Yeah, the story
I
I'm
I
saying.
I don't want to see a version of T'Challa not played by Boseman. Honestly, I would be okay
Yeah,
with uh, the fact that if there is a Black Panther 2 and they just pick up with Shuri instead of T'Challa, that's it.
yeah,
I'm okay.
even everyone's thinking about that, and actually to give a
I
really
mean,
good
there'll be
dynamic,
there'll
right?
be there'll be nobody who will go into Black Panther and wonder like why is Chadwick Boseman not here? What happened to him? Everybody knows that
Uh,
he's gone.
Exactly, and
hmm,
all they have to do is make like a reference, like a really sad moment. We lost our
hmm,
king a few months after he was here, but while he was there, it was great.
hmm. And they could actually say that how the real world consequences should be ingrained, has always been ingrained with the storytelling of MCU. No matter how big the landscape is and how grandeur the settings are, if they mention a death for any kind of disease or anything, so that would make, not to sound shallow, that would make actually more grounded, that would add a groundedness to the entire setting of MCU. Like, because
Yeah,
here we have in the same storytelling storyline we can have grand send off, we could have a gesture like what Tony Stark did, like how he sacrificed himself for the entire sake of entering into universe. But also Black Panther, who is a hero of the same caliber, died of a disease, and where he wanted to just but which he he didn't sacrifice to the
there's
entire
that
thing is
there's
equally
there's a
commendable.
point
Yeah.
there's a point I'd like
Mm,
to bring up, which is this has
mm,
actually been explored before in
mm,
probably one of Marvel's more well-known books, which is the
mm,
death of Captain Marvel.
yeah.
As in,
So yeah, real
you
world
rarely
consequences should be there. Yeah, Sudipta is here and a lot of noise.
Already? Yeah.
Of ambience when you are connecting through your mobile. No, it was sounding pretty well actually. Now a lot of distortion is coming.
Okay, let me disconnect and try again.
Poor guy. We just made him disconnect from his mobile and then connect from his laptop, and then we're telling him to no, just connect back to his mobile.
welcome to the 2020 technological relay.
Yeah, but Ishfar, and this could be a very good, give a very dramatic premise, because Shuri is essentially is not the she's very clever, and she's
Yeah, but she's not a warrior yet. I mean, technically she did fight against Thanos, but
The thing is,
Yeah,
I mean, canon wise, it makes sense given that Shuri has taken over the mantle. But it kind of remains to be seen, because you've been hearing all kinds of news saying that Doom and Namor are all going to be introduced in Black. So I'm not sure, like, if these rumors are true or if we're speculating or it's too soon. But yeah, as of now,
Yeah.
me personally, it would be great to see Shuri take over the. No disrespect
as
to
a-
Chadwick, like he was an
Yeah,
amazing
of
actor,
course.
but
I think he would have wanted the same actor, like by the end. I think not to.
I don't
Of
think this
course
guy
he-
was expected to die at all. I mean, he kept working and working and working till the very end.
no, he actually has a very good body of work. He acted in only maybe 15 or 16 movies altogether, but the movies that he made were all, very interesting but very iconic black historical figures. The Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first Supreme Court
Yeah, I've
Justice
seen that.
of the United States.
He has a small role in that movie, actually.
No, he is.
He's
he's
the
the lead.
title character.
He's the main
he's
character.
the lead.
He's the
Thurgood
lead,
Marshall,
but
yeah.
no, he's the arc character. The guy who's actually the who has the journey is Josh Gad, technically.
Gad,
He's
he's more of the observer, but the point is the focus is on Marshall for his
and
interesting.
I've seen parts of 42. Have you seen 42? Sure.
I started the movie, but I kind of didn't pick the right time. I kind of started it on late night and fell asleep, so I didn't finish watching it. It's due for a watch, actually.
But Get On Up, I have heard, is really good. Like where he plays
heard, yeah.
James Brown.
He did a bit of this on dance. For that, I'll
Yeah.
probably also, because it has good soul music. But interestingly enough, did you guys know Marshall, right, was directed by a guy called Reginald Hudlin?
Okay.
So Reggie Hudlin is a very famous director. I mean, relatively famous. He made these two movies in the 90s called House Party 1 and 2. And he's made a bunch of other movies as well.
He's
Reggie
also written
Hudlin-
Black Panther.
I was coming to that. He's written Black Panther. He wrote the Wedding of the Black Panther with Storm. He directed a movie called Marshall, which starred Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther, and Sterling K. Brown, who played T'Challa's uncle.
It's a good movie. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. Yeah.
Reginald Hudlin also wrote like Shuri as the Black Panther.
Shuri as the Black Panther, exactly. He
So-
wrote, I think, some third issues or something. I don't know.
No, I
Somewhere
think
between-
his first run was 12 issues. Like his run with T'Challa as Black Panther was 12 issues.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
with
run
the
on,
John, with the Lord Romita Jr.
Oh Lord, yeah, Lord Romita Jr. Man. What has his art become? Anyway, so and then another 12 or 13 issues with Shuri as Black Panther.
Yeah, that's what I altogether he's written somewhere between 20 or 30 issues of Black Panther.
Yeah. He also
Yeah, tell me.
wasn't he also involved with the Black Panther animated series?
I'm not sure.
There
I
was
haven't
a
watched
Black
the
Panther animated series?
Very brief.
Yeah.
It lasted what 10, 12 episodes.
Few episodes, yeah, few episodes. It was based on that this thing, Captain America and World War II Black Panther. I forgot the name. It's something about our fathers.
Okay. So, okay, tell me one thing. Didn't Shuri get initially when she went through that entire Black Panther coronation process? Didn't she get rejected by Bas? Usually, like they would go into an astral plane, and then Bas would initially he will select he will be the one to validate you, right? And didn't Shuri get rejected, and then but she became a Black Panther anyway? Like, isn't that happened? Didn't that happen in one of the stories? Maybe Secret Invasion or something.
Yeah, I don't remember most of Secret Invasion, given that it was written by Bendis, and I read it ages
Yes.
ago.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense meant to Bendis. I really like this the guy's writing, but the problem is, given that Secret Invasion scale is like massive, there are thousands of plots that are trying to get I don't know, resolved or whatever. I kind of can't remember every single. but I'm assuming you're right. I'll probably.
So yeah, so they released another one I'm hearing a lot of good things about, Raised by the Wolves. Have you guys heard of that?
Yes, of
I
course.
need to start watching. Yeah, it's a Ridley
What is it
Scott, so
about?
of
Like,
course I'll watch. Something about babies
And
being raised by
androids raising kids in a post-apocalyptic Earth.
Oh yeah,
oh, so 10 years from now, essentially.
Kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
essentially, yeah.
Kind of.
So it's like a documentary. It'll become a documentary more than anything like Watchmen has at this point.
Yeah, which is kind of sad and scary. And you know what they should do? They should do this kind of apocalyptic thing, but they should do it as a mockumentary, like how they're shooting What We Do in the Shadows, right?
What We Do in the
And I don't
Shadows
know-
is fantastic.
Yeah, both the movie and the TV series, and actually it has another spin-off called Wellington Paranormal or something. Like you remember
see,
those two? Yeah, those two.
No. The Vampiric Council fellows.
Oh yeah, yeah. That, and also Jackie Daytona, right? My God,
Daytona.
Jack.
I am your human bartender.
Him an average American bartender. Like I don't know.
American bartender. No, the best
And
is
he'll always-
is when he
best.
is when
Yeah.
Jim the vampire. Craven's One.
Yeah, man, you can do a really good Hamill. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
You guys
Craven's One.
yeah, it's like I heard a part of Joker in that as well. Like when Joker's voice crackle sometimes
Yeah,
whenever he
yeah.
gets angry. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing mere about that.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, so yeah, that's really good. Sudipta, I know you. No, okay. Before Sudipta proceeds, I just want to say I don't give him the permission. I'm not giving him the permission to talk about House of X, Powers of X again. Okay, talk about something else.
Thank God.
No, I'm
he
not going
actually
to talk
will.
about House of X, Powers of X.
Okay.
Give me 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks, and I'll start talking about X of Swords.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Assuming it's good. Assuming it's good.
Assuming it's
But-
good. Okay,
yeah.
so what have you been reading or watching lately that you want to talk about?
Well, I've seen The Boys, which is pretty good.
Mhm.
I've kind of gone off the beaten track and started watching a lot of things which I'd rather not talk about. I watched.
Go on.
Yeah, I watched Indian matchmaking.
So did I.
Oh, I was assuming something else.
Yeah, I thought
What
you were
is
talking
it?
about good old-fashioned porn, man. Come on.
But no, why would I discuss porn in this podcast?
I was wondering the same thing. I mean, you said you don't want to discuss, so I obviously assumed it was going to be porn.
So did I actually.
Oh,
yeah, even me as well.
All
So,
of the audience,
okay.
all 23 members of the audience will assume the same thing.
Okay, way to dish our beloved subscribers, whom I very love. Okay, Sudipta, you have seen Indian matchmaking. Like you kind of hate watched it, right? Like it's so
Yeah,
bad, it's good.
Yes, I watched Indian matchmaking and I watched Skulls and Roses. My entire week was wasted on cringe.
How was
Oh
Skulls
my
and Roses and what is it about?
what is
So-
it about?
Who all here are fans of Roadies and Splitsvilla? Particularly Roadies and anything featuring the
Those two baldies.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't want
those
to
two
call them the
bodies.
I don't want to call them the national testicles, but
They are.
they are. Yes, they are literally the
yeah.
national testicles, and they act like dicks.
Human gonads.
Yeah, human. To
Yeah.
quote who? Yeah, to quote Karan Johar.
To quote Karan Johar, like the human gonads. Like that he said.
The human gonad Raghu Ram.
Gonad, like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Skulls and Roses. Skulls and Roses. I'm sure you all are aware of the general format of Roadies.
Yeah.
Skulls,
It's basically abuse, right? Workplace abuse, but it's on the road.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's like it's like Fear Factor, like a very watered down Fear Factor, except instead of just challenges,
Yeah.
there is also politics and interpersonal drama and all this. In Fear
okay.
Factor, what happens is that if you can't do the task, you go home. In
Right,
roadies and all, what happens that if you can't do the task, you get some sort of disadvantage, and in the end, there is a vote out, and the person who loses the vote out, like who gets the least amount of votes, they go home.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
Essentially, yeah.
very watered down. This thing.
Got it.
Fear factor. Now, Skulls and Roses, what happens is that there are 16 contestants, 8 guys, 8 girls. And there are 2 like islands, so-called islands, Rose Island and Skull Island. In Rose Island, these 16 contestants have to pair up or couple up, and they have to perform some sort of activities as a couple. Now,
Wow.
only one couple wins each week, and the remaining contestants which they are there, they go to Skull Island, which is basically a prison where Raghu basically I don't know,
Proceeds
Raghu,
of them.
not physically, but yes, emotionally and mentally and everything. Like they literally get tortured. They get tortured physically. They get tortured emotionally.
What the
And
hell?
yeah, like
Well played.
yeah, like I mean, I'll give some spoilers. Like the first episode,
Yeah.
what happens when they arrive? They get chained to some sort of elaborate bench, and then some guards, like really tall, muscular white people, wearing black and face mask, they come and pour food out of a bucket onto the table, and they have to like bend down and lick it in half an hour. After which the food is washed away with water. So yeah, and like see these all these people, these 7-8 people, they have to sleep in one tiny 10 inch by no not like I don't know how much
10 foot.
10 foot by 10 foot cell.
Right.
7 people have
Oh,
to sleep in one
yes.
10 foot by 10 foot cell. Yeah, and then next morning they meet Raghuram, and Raghuram abuses him like, oh, you are all I am here to I will take your self-respect, I will take your dignity, I will take your necessities, blah blah blah, and I will make you
Wait. I just realized something. If the 4 of us went on that show, we'd win. We've got no self-respect.
What the hell?
That's true.
What the hell?
No, but that's just half of it. The
Heartful,
other half
but-
is that
Yeah,
that's
hurtful
just half
but
of it.
true.
The other half is that we'd all have to backstab everyone in the competition and make them trust us, and ultimately betray their trust, or hope that they don't do it to us first.
Yeah.
God.
So
Yeah, so
that
was
and
so it was
so that
16
was
episodes of
basically-
basically. Yeah.
so kind of like what I understood is it's kind of like an amalgamation of roadies and that another equally stupid show.
Splitsvilla, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
basically.
my god. So
Yeah, so, I mean-
people are still watching. Like I know
It's on
you are
Amazon
for-
Prime.
They got an Amazon deal. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
They shot in
Oh.
South Africa, like I was reading some of the back material, like this was like shot in South Africa. They like made the set on their own, and a lot of things happened. So yeah, they got a pretty big deal.
Damn.
They
So
got quite a bit of money to sponsor this.
so 60% of our population is below poverty belt, and like companies are spending money on this.
No.
I mean-
Here's the
something-
interesting part.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting part. 2 dudes get
Mhm.
paid to insult
Yeah.
people and abuse them.
No, particularly one dude. Raghu does most of the insulting. Rajiv is like a chaotic neutral. Raghu is straight up chaotic evil.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. One guy. So basically, 2 guys get paid for either doing nothing or abusing people.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
This is a nice job.
It's
Yeah.
pretty sweet
very
job
nice
if you
job.
can land
Yeah,
it.
pretty-
But won't you feel bad, like always bad mouthing people? Like at one point you will be even sick of it, right? Like
Okay. Question. I'm paying you $1 million. Would you badmouth?
yeah, of course I would, but I won't do it for say let's say 10 years, and I won't
This
make
is
a
like
career
one
out of it.
season. This is one
But he
season.
did.
These.
He did.
Yeah, they did.
He is so
They
good. He created this thing. What? He created the longest running reality show just by doing this.
Yeah. And the only good thing to come out of Roadies is Ayushmann Khurrana. Other than that, it's all garbage.
Yeah. That too.
Ayushmann got traction.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ayushmann got traction because of Roadies. That is an undeniable fact. But
Yep.
thank God he got traction, because now we have one of the good
Best young
better
actors.
actors, best young actors in our country. Yeah.
Yep.
But and what is that?
And it's
I'm
good,
very
okay, but somewhere to go.
yeah. Yeah, it's still a long way to go. If roadies like shows like roadies give us actual talents like Khurana, I'm okay with it. Like if all, and also a couple of other didn't other
Can't
roadie
hear you, man.
contests,
Shom.
yeah, didn't other roadies also become like actors or anything? Like a couple of them also went into acting, and they
No,
didn't
but
one
fare
guy
away
I
that.
remember.
they never reached the level that Ayushmann did.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
one guy.
Yeah. There's that girl who is in four. There's that girl who is in 4 more shots, please.
Mhm.
If you can count that
Mhm.
acting.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
There was this
I
one, no,
forgot her name.
Run Vijay. What was his
Ran
name?
Vijay is the hosting roadies. He won the first
Bani,
season
I
of
think.
roadies.
That's
Yeah.
her name. Ek Kings, na?
What's her name?
Bani J, I think.
Bani.
Acha. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Ran
And
Vijay, yeah.
Ranvijay is
Ranvijay
basically
hosts.
yeah,
Yeah,
he hosts. That's the only gig he can get right currently.
Yep.
Like weirdly, that plays into nepotism for some reason. Like he came as an outsider but became one with the show, and now he hosts everything on MTV. But is MTV still on broadcasting? They are still broadcasting MTV India. Like that show, that channel
I
is still
think so.
going on.
I think so.
Oh my god, how is it still going on? No one, like we all
Sponsorships.
outgrew it, right? We all outgrew,
Sponsorship.
and it's baffling that people still watch TV at this point, right?
Yeah, I
Everything
think,
is on net.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But there is. Go on, Tom. Go on.
Along with talking about
I think Tom's connection.
Hello.
Yeah, Tom. Go
Yeah,
on.
what we are seeing currently, because currently there's not a lot of good content, so a lot of us are watching really shit content, that as is evident from this podcast.
yeah.
We can talk about things that we might have seen a
think
little bit
Tom's connection
earlier,
is a little
which we
messed.
think deserves a lot more attention. Like
No, your connection is spotty, man.
I wanted to talk about this
Which
Korean
one?
series called Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Have any of you watched
Korean
it?
series.
No.
Hello?
I have heard great things
Kingdom.
about it. Apparently, it's like a medieval thing, medieval China, and
So,
then
one second,
zombies
just
are also there.
Oh, on a side note. on
So
an
yeah, can you
unrelated
hear me
note,
now? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. On
Yeah,
an unrelated note, what?
On an
No,
unrelated
your
note,
connection is very spotty. Oh, okay. On
No,
an
I meant on
unrelated
an
note,
unrelated note. I highly recommend everyone watch Bill and Ted Face the Music. It is
it's good.
by
Is this
far-
better, guys? Why are all of you quiet?
We're not quiet.
Yeah, we're talking.
Hello.
I think there's something wrong with his audio.
Yeah, I
Audio,
think.
yeah.
I can hear you now, all of you.
Okay,
good.
Tom. If your audio is spotty, try leaving and coming back.
Yeah, then it actually works.
No, my audio is fine now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I
very
can hear
clear.
I think there's a little bit of phase difference. Like I'm saying it and you guys are listening
No,
to it
no.
a second later.
No.
No, we're able to hear you on time. No problem.
Okay, so I was talking about Kingdom. Kingdom is this Korean series, which is which is basically a zombie story centered around this 13th century or 14th century kingdom of Korea.
Okay.
And there's this prince
this
who is
new-
supposed to inherit the
Right.
kingdom, but his daddy turns into a zombie, and from there the plague spreads. And it's a beautifully shot horror series. I mean, the story also plays out very well. And I think not a lot of people here have watched it, although it's there on Netflix. It's been there for a while now.
No, it's there. I've been meaning to watch, but the thing is, I have a very attention span, which is why I stick.
I
to shows
agree.
that
I agree. I started Dark 2 weeks ago and I stopped after episode 2.
Same feeling. Like, see,
I haven't seen Dark at all.
I tried watching Signal. Okay, for me, Korean dramas are just way too. I tried watching Signal. It was like 1 hour per episode. Too much detail.
Has anyone seen Dark?
Just 2 episodes.
4 episodes.
I think it's interesting. Like,
I think Tom's this thing connection's a little spotty. Like you.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll join you guys back after I have actually stepped out for some smokes. I'll join you in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys,
Okay.
I highly recommend you guys check out Bill and Ted Face the Music.
And you know something, Ishwar, you'll probably get angry at me because I have not seen Bogus Journey till now.
You will love it. I'm telling you. I told you, right?
No,
We were watching it
no, I have
yesterday.
seen I have seen Excellent Adventure, but
Right.
after that I have not seen Bogus Journey or this one.
Face the music.
Trust me on this.
Face the
Get
Music.
to it. I didn't realize a sequel, despite a lot of people calling it a money grab, could be so wholesome and give the most fitting ending to two beloved characters.
Oh,
I
so
was talking to a
Keanu,
friend about, Keanu's
Yeah.
back in full force.
Keanu is like he's on a roll, like back to back hits.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like so, and I am assuming Matrix 4 will also be a huge hit. Like the streak he's on, no, only because
John
of the
Wick
word
4.
of mouth, and he's coming back with that particular franchise is enough to
Exactly.
get people going in theater. Yeah,
Exactly. And of course, there's John Wick 4.
Yeah.
John Wick fan.
Yeah.
So
No, John Wick 4, the next installment in the franchise.
I want John Wick 4 to be the last John Wick film, but I don't think that will happen. They're going to
they'll
kill
no,
milk
I
it.
just I want a couple of more. Like if we can go through 9 Fast and Furious movies and still be okay with this, and why not more John Wick movies? Like,
No, the reason
genuine-
Fast and Furious movies can work continuously is because there is no there is no consistency in terms of plot. It's like something new keeps happening every other movie, and we've stopped giving a fuck about it, and we just want to see for the action. How it's not like that with John Wick. There is still a cerebral quality attached to it. Like how much longer can John Wick keep fighting and keep struggling against the whole mafia world? How much longer can he do that? Eventually, he'll either suffer or he'll die. I mean, look at
Yeah.
what happened to Paul Walker. Like Paul Walker's character died, so they wrote him out, and now they're pretending like he never existed.
yeah. Essentially,
Now we suddenly have the Dominic Toretto's biological brother coming back, except he was never ever mentioned in the film, in the franchise as what 10 15 year history.
No,
Not even
here's the
15.
best part. Soham will watch it because he's a Vin Diesel fan. Loves Vin Diesel.
No, I'm not a Vin Diesel fan. I'm a fan of his Facebook page because he posts all these cringe photoshops. But as an actor, he's terrible. This is awful, man. Come on.
No, he started out actually quite well with films like Saving Private Ryan and this thing, Iron Giant. He could have had a serious career. But then he did Fast and Furious and Triple X, and he was like, "Screw this! I'm going to become an edgy,
money making machine."
Early 2000 hero.
And he's still making monies.
Yeah, he's making like the Gym Bros, right? They'll definitely go see them.
Yeah.
So Gym Bros and all the other guys.
Are you sure you're not going to watch? No, bro. Let's.
Of course, I'll watch it. I'll watch it and I'll make fun of it, but I'm not gonna take it seriously. Like, see, a lot of people make fun of other people saying that this guy is watching Endgame. It's a children's movie and all that. That's not a children's movie. That actually has some real life consequences and repercussions. But
there's depth.
Fast and Furious, that is a prime example of a children's movie. They have a car with a rocket blaster or something embedded on top of it, and they're.
Bro, if I wanted to watch all that, I'd go watch Speed Racer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Speed Racer. Yeah, can you imagine how they used to deliver the dialogues in Speed Racer? Like,
man, Speed Racer was the bomb.
Yeah. No, but Speed Racer was an anime, right?
Yep. Started off. It was a very. Yeah, it was.
No, I'm talking about the animated series, of course, but it was an anime essentially, right?
Yeah, it was very, very old, 60s or 70s.
Okay, and speaking of anime, since we're just talking about anything here, so you guys know that Infamous. I have been doing a little bit of digging on anime, so there's a lot of memes centered around it. So one of the most famous memes everyone knows that meme, right? Omayo Shindu, like that one.
Shinderu.
Yeah, where it is from, like how? And it's
Fist of the North Star, Hokuto no Ken.
Hokuto no Ken. Okay, so what is it about? Like it's pretty badass. That scene is, oh my god, it's like
Yeah.
one of the
It's
coolest
okay. I
scenes.
haven't.
Even
I'll tell you the plot, but I haven't watched it. It's about this martial artist who learns a fighting technique and travels across this barren wasteland in the 1930s. Or
okay,
That's basically it. Just one guy on a quest traveling through barren wastelands in the 1930s.
okay,
It's full on martial arts.
yeah, and the
Oh.
animation is pretty bad, so to speak. But
It was the
the
80s, man.
80s, yeah, 80s animation. Even the early Dragon Ball episodes, they're not drawn well. Actually, it's very disproportionate.
So the thing is, a lot of them used traditional methods. So they didn't use computer generated artwork or anything. They used like traditional methods. They used to draw by hand. I think it wasn't until the 2000s that they switched over to more digital. Which is why when you see it, there's a very okay. So you know how it is when you draw the computer, right? The chances for an error are very very minimal. But if you look
Yeah.
closely in a lot of anime, you'll find there are like very small errors, which makes it very human.
Human, exactly. Like you can see actually the effort and the human endeavor in it. Actually,
Exactly. Like these
In
guys.
what are you guys talking
labored-
about? Sorry, hi.
no, we're
Tom,
talking
yeah,
about
go
how
ahead.
traditional animes were hand drawn till the early 2000s, and they were kind of it was very disproportionate at times. Like if you see old Dragon Ball Z episodes, you'll see that the faces are kind of skewed and the arms and everything are not exactly following the right symmetry. But what Ishva said, and to which I would also agree, that those particular flaws make them what they are today. Like it showed the human kind of side or human effort that was, and the love and the labor that was put into the artwork of those particular anime. The same thing happens with Tom and Jerry also. The reason it gets
Yeah.
so much love till now is because of the hand drawn thing, like the old Disney movies, and even to this day, the reason I think the Studio Ghibli is such a
Yeah.
huge cultural thing is because of their use of hand drawn animation. Like
Right.
I love the modern 3D animation that Pixar uses and everything, but still there's this kind of like something is missing. Don't you feel like whenever you're watching a 3D animation, like the story and everything is fine, but you there's like it's 98% of something
Right.
like that emerald that feeling of satisfaction which we get from
I don't
hand drawn animation.
I don't exactly feel that when it comes to the kind of American 3D animation movies that have come out in the post 2000s, because
No. We're
you
not talking, Tom. It's not about the American stuff that we're talking about. We're talking about like specifically anime, where you can notice like when hand drawn images and anime exist, you can actually see the quality and attention to detail. And even if there are errors, they're kind of excusable because you've seen people make errors anyways. You understand the amount of effort, love that has gone into that craft.
right.
I agree. I mean, like, I have nothing against 3D anime. It is like, I mean, it's a reflection of how much technology has advanced and how much more realistic they can be. But hand drawn anime adds a different charm to the animation. Like, see, the fact is that we don't watch anime or animated shows for the realism. We look for like something extra, something beyond realistic. So when we have a hand drawn anime, it gives us the feel that it gives us a different flavor, a more unique flavor. Not that 3D anime can't put the flavor, but most people when they use 3D anime, they do it 3D animation. They do it with the focus of making this thing look more realistic. The biggest example I can give you is that the Netflix Ultraman series, like they use Netflix Ultraman series, Saint Seiya, then what else? There are maybe a couple of more which
Beastars.
yeah, that one too.
Beastars.
Yeah, they use 3D animation like 3D models of their fighters and everything to make it look more realistic, but
It
that
doesn't always
backfired.
stick.
Yeah, that backfired. What made those shows cool was the fact that they look larger than life, or they look something beyond what is real. If 3D animation is used to maybe enhance the surrealism or the hyper realism of a story, then it will work much better, like they did in Spider-Verse.
Yeah, completely.
Spider-Verse was a landmark achievement in
Yep.
modern anime, actually, and comic book storytelling also, because it
Yep.
looks so much like a comic book.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
But I've heard that Ghibli is planning to release their first 3D animated. Although the Red Turtle was kind of half 3D, half 2D, right? I really like that
Yeah.
movie, by the way.
which one?
The Red Turtle. Have you seen it? It has no dialogues, nothing, but it's just so beautiful. Like one of the most wonderful looking movies you'll ever see.
Oh,
Have you not seen?
Aya and the Witch? Yeah, that's the name of the movie. I forgot the name. Aya and the Witch. That's
No,
coming.
not yeah. And also they had a Indian one movie based on like Indian culture or something. Ghibli. Like I am not sure. Someone shared it on Facebook. Like the
think I
premise
know
was
this.
set in
I've seen
India.
a guy. I've seen a guy. Let me.
The premise was set in India. Yeah. Studio Ghibli's first.
Which movie of Ghibli do you guys like the best?
I like
For
My Neighbor
me,
Totoro, man.
My Neighbor Totoro is. I would rather go for an underrated one. It's called Pompoko. It's about a
Pompoko,
group of
yeah. Raccoons, right?
raccoons, yeah. And it's like it's very kind of like it's a very socialist message. It's about people banding against, in this case, raccoons banding against corporation. Like this is basically capitalization or capitalism against socialism.
Right.
Yeah. So the underlying theme of that particular movie. But I highly recommend anyone who's planning to watch some looking for underrated Ghibli movies. It's one of the best I have seen.
My favorites are Princess Mononoke and Howl.
Oh, Mononoke is beautiful looking. Mononoke is like oh man, like I think I have never seen any movie as beautiful looking, like as from an aesthetic standpoint, as beautiful as Mononoke. Like
Right.
so
In
mesmerizing.
terms of aesthetics, right, like you said, I'm just picking back. Like, what would be your favorite aesthetic anime series or product? It could be anime, or it could be an anime, or it could be
The ones that I've seen, they don't have a lot of those aesthetic set designs and everything.
No,
But,
I'm saying if you thought of one, what would be your favorite from the ones that you?
It's a tough question, actually. Maybe My Hero Academia. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that it's not about the set, which is very profoundly beautiful, but they are so innovative into the superpowers and their usage that it heavily sort of affects the design.
Right.
Like, do any of you watch My Hero Academia?
Of course I do. I love the show, man.
No,
Yeah,
here's what my and many people, I'll get a lot of hate for this as well. I always like anime when it's dubbed. I am a dub guy.
Oh my god, you heathen!
Wow.
I told you.
I have no words.
Barbarian.
I'm sorry, but that's how I am.
You know what Bong Joon-ho
I was
said,
born this way, man. I was born this way. I didn't choose to be a dub person.
Everybody was born like they didn't know how to read, but then they evolved, right?
Yeah.
No, it's like this. I
What
think
the
I know why
hell?
he said that. I think I know why he said that. It's because he's on his phone while he's watching stuff.
I'm on a what?
You're on your phone most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I'm on my phone. Yeah, I'm essentially.
Which basically means you can't read subtitles.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very hard to
that's what I
follow
said.
this.
You haven't. You became an engineer, but you still didn't learn how to read. That is what it means.
Yeah. That's most of the engineers, by the way.
Yeah. Yesterday,
I can say it because I'm an engineer. I already made fun of engineers, right? In one of that status.
That's it. But yeah, Sudirtha, what's your favorite aesthetic? Any kind of anime?
Okay, so when it comes to like anime aesthetics, I guess my favorite, like back when I used to watch anime all the time, my favorite anime aesthetic was Bleach, because it had, like, I don't know, it had this kind of finesse, this kind of smoothness that I'd say other animes lacked. Like the way the character designs, the movement, the action, powers, anything and everything. It had like such a finesse to it that I couldn't help but be attracted to it. Like
Fair enough.
Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece are considered to be like the big three of early, big three of anime up to maybe like 2014-15. After which Naruto and Bleach ended.
Right.
wait, Dragon Ball Z is not one of the big three anime?
No, like Dragon
in-
Ball Z is like on a separate this thing.
It's a separate generation altogether.
Yeah, because Dragon Ball started in 1980s, I guess, 80s or late 90s.
Dragon Ball was started in the 80s. Yeah. Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z, I don't think started until the
Naruto,
late 80s.
Bleach, and One Piece are all late 90, early
90.
2000 animes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
And
so
they-
Huh?
So only India was crazy about Pokemon. You're saying?
no, the rest of world was crazy about Pokemon too. Nothing like that.
It's just that it kind of had this boom in India after it started airing on Toonami and Cartoon Network and stuff like
that too. It's
because
not
up
much of a.
until-
It's not much of a boom. People are still fixated onto the first generation. Like hardly the people have very limited knowledge outside of the second, the first,
I do not like animes that skip generation. The Bozo, what's that name? Jojo. Yeah, Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. That
Hey!
also.
Jojo
Oh,
was
this is
awesome.
good.
Leave Jojo alone.
What's going on? Anyway, they have
Tom
a good
actually got scared
aesthetic.
for a moment.
Fight.
They have a good aesthetic, but they keep skipping stories every now and then.
They don't. That's
And-
the point. Every single generation has its story. Like some part
That
of the
is
story
what
which
skipping
eventually
stories
connects.
is. Like they
No,
basically
skipping
go
stories
from-
would mean stopping a story somewhere randomly and then shifting the story somewhere else. Because the focus of each of the 4 or 5 parts
second
of
JoJo, the second JoJo basically was doing karate on a rock, and then he goes into outer space and comes back because
What?
the rock
No.
blows up.
No. The best JoJo out of all the 4 JoJos or 5 JoJos that have come out are actually
Is-
Josuke and Jotaro. Given that there's actually evolution in their storylines, because Jotaro appears in both part 3 and part 4. And it also adds to a sense of continuity when Joseph Joestar also appears in Diamond is Unbreakable, making
My favorite element out of all of JoJo that I've seen was the music for the Pillar Men. That was very- yeah. And
Can I pick an unpopular one out of the anime?
Go for
And it's not that I have seen those anime that the particular series, but I have
Go
seen
for it.
clippings on YouTube, and from what I saw, I was really impressed. Attack on Titans, the action
Oh, yeah.
scenes especially.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it has.
My God, I don't know how that blonde-haired guy is fighting those humanoid monster
Right?
thing.
Levi Ackerman.
Yeah,
Wait, he said
But it
blonde.
is
I thought he said
so-
Armin.
No, not Levi. What's his name? I forgot.
Armin.
Armin. Yes.
yeah, but it's so like it's kind of like otherworldly affair altogether. Like it's so beautiful to look at, and yet you don't need the only time I felt that kind of like jarring feeling or a mind-bending feeling, it was when I was watching the first Matrix movie, because it was like some like it's so bizarrely beautiful, that particular like
Right.
how he's pulling those like harnesses, and he's just jumping and leaping out of buildings,
Yeah.
and he's just taking down these monsters. And it's I don't know what is it about, like, and why are they like? Why is he fighting them? Like, can anyone brief me on this? Because I have been meaning to watch this
There's a
series for quite some
city,
time.
there is a wall.
Mm.
It protects them from giant titans that come and eat them. That's essentially the premise of
Oh,
Attack on Titan.
did Trump write this by any chance?
You would okay, interesting fact. There was actually controversy going on about anti-Semitism and stuff, so it wouldn't be entirely untrue.
Okay. No, but the animation is beautiful. Like,
It
like
is. It
one
really
of the
is.
best. So there are only like 3 seasons, right?
Yeah,
this?
it'll be ending though with the final.
Yeah. So better I get caught up. So how many episodes per season?
I think it's 20 odd if I remember.
Wait, it's all on Netflix, so I'll just like check and let you know.
Yeah.
One sec.
Netflix has a lot of good animes. Like, and anyone,
Yeah,
I'm surprised no one mentioned Castlevania.
Oh yes,
Castlevania is because Warren Ellis, we can't really talk about him for
yes.
yes.
For legal
We-
reasons, that's a joke.
But that's a joke.
did not like the second season of Castlevania at all.
You know
But
what? You guys should check out the aesthetic of these two anime, okay? So they're kind of underrated, and they have a very niche audience, according to some people that I've spoken to. Ghost in the Shell and Cowboy Bebop.
So Cowboy Bebop has mad aesthetic. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
amazing aesthetic.
The jazz, the western feel to it. I mean, it's a space western, right? So you
Yeah.
can always, jazz music never goes out of western. You have like these gunslingers, you have these fighters, and all. It's amazing. And Ghost in the Shell is peak cyberpunk. It's transhumanism, cyberpunk, name it. You name literary genres, you can find it one piece of work, just with the title sequence.
And in a way, like Ghost in the Shell was the inspiration for Matrix, right? A lot of action sequences. The anime, of course.
mean, yeah. I mean, I've heard like there was Akira, Blade Runner, and all of these were inspirations.
For Matrix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Blade Runner has a lot of influence on a lot of things that came after it. Actually.
Yeah, Blade Runner was like the OG cyberpunk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
OG
peak cyberpunk. Akira and Blade Runner are OG cyberpunk.
And even Villeneuve, I think he did a really good job with the sequel, but it didn't
Yes.
get much.
Yeah. I
sadly.
wanted to bring this up. Speaking of, just imagine, everyone thought sequels, were just a money grab and that they would suck. Except we got Doctor Sleep, we got Blade Runner 2014, and a very, very good ending to Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
All of them
So-
sequels to movies that came out in the 80s and
90s, yeah. A very good closure to.
Sequels can be very good. Sequels can be very good if you treat them right. If you like just make
Yeah.
them for the sake of it. I guess the biggest example is the difference between Thor: The Dark World and Thor: Ragnarok. Thor: Ragnarok
Yeah.
was a
Don't remind
brilliant
me.
movie.
No,
Don't
the
remind
biggest
me.
Yeah.
difference, Shrutito, that's a good example, but Men in Black 3 is the best example.
And
I
like,
mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Men in
but-
Black 3 was amazing.
Amazingly good. Like Men in Black 1 and 2 doesn't hold a candle next to it. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's surprising
Yeah.
how good it is.
Yeah.
I thought
But
it was
Men
average
in
good.
Black.
Okay.
Yeah, Men in Black International was terrible though.
Oh, that was terrible. Men in Black 3 was average. I mean, I thought
Wait.
1 and 2 was better than
I-
3.
Wait 1 second. Did I say was I keep saying Men in Black? I meant Bad Boys. I meant Bad Boys.
Oh,
No,
Bad
I-
Boy.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
got-
was thinking.
I was
Oh, yeah.
confused. I mean, like, what the...
Bad Boys 3 is a really good movie. Really good movie.
Like, see what I
Michael
mean?
Bay
That is
actually
also a
outdid
sequel.
himself. Really?
Michael
Michael
Bay did
Bay
not
did-
direct it.
Directed. This is one of the guys who's supposed to direct the what is that Disney Plus show?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Michael Bay has a cameo in it, and it's done
Mhm.
well. I mean, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence playing. I mean, getting back together, and it's a really good movie. Have any of you watched it? Men in Black 3. Sorry.
Yeah, I have.
again.
No, Bad.
Bad Boys 3.
Bad Boys, I haven't. Yeah, Bad Boys. I
You haven't. You should.
The-
I mean,
The thing is,
That's
I have
fine.
not seen any of the Rush Hour or the Bad Boy franchise. Any of the movies from these two franchises.
Rush Hour has amazing dialogue.
Yep. Very,
Yeah,
very
Crystal-
quotable.
Chris Tucker kind of carries the entire movie on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
even
The fact that these can't communicate with
What is happening?
what is happening.
Who's that?
Did-
Mute, please.
Soham mute himself again. He didn't.
no,
Oh,
I'm
Sudhir also.
uh-huh.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, I don't.
Everyone is muting themselves.
I'm not muted. Wait. Do I have to mute myself?
No.
No.
Okay, no, I am not muting myself. I'm right here, and yeah,
Did anyone hear about who was the showrunner? One of the showrunners of the world.
showrunners of what?
Brave
Lindelof.
World by
Brave.
Grant
Lindelof.
Morrison.
Huh?
Who, Marcel?
he
Really?
wrote- Grant Morrison.
He's producing now.
Yeah, he's working in TV. He wrote episodes for Brave New World and is one of the executive producers.
Damn.
Oh man, then it will be more weird. Somehow it will be weirder.
It isn't, except it's like an extended episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, imagine Grant Morrison doing Black Mirror, man. Everyone will get like so scared of everything.
No,
Like, you'll feel like you're-
they won't. You'll be like, no, bro, this is just like reading a Grant Morrison comic only. There's nothing different.
Yeah, actually. but
Yeah, but-
is are people actually aware of who Grant Morrison is, what he writes? Like
Grant
the general
Morrison
audience,
is-
not me audience. Not
No. They will after this, after they watch couple of things, and those who don't know will have like, it will be kind of, if played right, it could result in mass hysteria. Like, everyone will have this existential crisis, and everyone will start freaking out. But those
Yeah,
who
yeah.
knows Morrison, they will be like, yeah, that it's his stick. It's
Typical
like,
Morrison.
that
That's
this is what he
pretty
does.
regular.
Yeah.
No, but you should, if you guys get a chance, it's only like 7 episodes and 40 minutes. It's like a very short binge. I'm telling you, it is very, very unconventional of Morrison to write like this. It's an extended Black Mirror episode, is all I'll say.
what, Brave New World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I mean, right? It's basically a dystopia where there's no emotion and people use drugs all the time. It's weird. I'm like, yeah, that's like Black Mirror all over again.
Oh. So, wasn't Black Mirror is kind of a derivative of Twilight Zone?
Yes, it is. Apparently, people have called the Twilight Zone the Black Mirror of old, and other people call Black Mirror the Twilight Zone of our generation. I watched both. I liked both, but they were both their own things.
Yeah. But the thing is, Black Mirror is actually, it doesn't have a genre, so to speak, and which is makes it like more interesting. It's like this kind of anthology thing, and I somehow, there are some like references of one universe being connected to the other, or they are following the same timeline. That's what I've heard. Like, there's a
Right.
fan theory going on that all the events that happens in Black Mirror takes place in the same continuity. But
Yeah, there is
it
the
can't.
Black Museum episode kind of sheds light on that.
Yeah, but
There's an episode that kind of proves the theory, saying, yeah, there is this place called the Black Museum, and objects from the Black Mirror universe kind of are stored here so that people can take a look at what all that's happened. Because one thing is, a lot of the show was developed with the intention to highlight the darker aspects of technology.
Oh,
Which is why Black Mirror is basically the kind of screen you see when you turn off your devices.
yep.
so it's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone
Have any
is
of you
own-
have any of you watched Cobra Kai? Recently,
Yes.
got
Cobra Kai.
No, I have been meaning, I
Yeah,
have been
so-
meaning to watch it. I've heard it's like really good.
It is.
Cobra
Like,
Kai is fantastic.
in the last 5 years, we have heard so much talk about selling nostalgia and repackaging nostalgia, and Jurassic Park and Star Wars. They all get roped into this discussion. But Cobra Kai is the first time I've seen somebody use nostalgia for the right way to tell a news story.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's fantastic stuff.
And
Is it that
it's
good,
beautiful.
really?
It's that good. It's
And,
really
and,
good.
and if you think about it, maybe one of the reasons we have Cobra Kai is because of a weird episode in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, Zapka.
Yeah.
Billy Zapka.
Zapka.
William Zabka. I mean, William Zabka sits down his new protege and he tells him the story of the first movie exactly the way Barney tells it. There is one
Exactly.
episode.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, in his story, Johnny Lawrence is the hero,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and the hero of Cobra Kai is Johnny Lawrence. He feels wronged. He's saying, "Listen, no, I was supposed to be the hero, except I got screwed over, and my life went to shit." And you sympathize with him because he's genuinely a great
but then-
character.
But then the more you go into it, you realize that it actually doesn't pander to the whole, the white misguided dude narrative. It actually
Yeah.
is very inclusive and it goes in a lot of different ways.
It's
Yeah.
quite well balanced.
And the action is good. The action is really good.
Yeah,
Yep.
fight sequences are. Mwah. And
Really?
let's never. Yeah,
now
yeah,
I
fight
am
sequences are
really
great, man.
intrigued.
Yeah.
So
Let's-
so tell me one thing. I have not seen the Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid. Okay.
What is wrong
again.
with
Definitely
you?
watch.
What is
Definitely
wrong?
watch.
Okay. Please forgive me. So do I need to watch the original Karate Kid to
Yes.
fully get this?
Yeah, of course. Because you have to know who Mr. Miyagi is. Come on.
Yeah, that I know. Like wax on, wax off guy, right?
Yep.
Dude, how do you know that if you have not seen the movie?
It's a
I
meme
think
now.
it's become. Yeah, it's a meme.
We shouldn't be consuming pop culture through memes. I mean, that's just dishonest. People actually spend time with these movies. Let it.
No,
it
I think
grows
I
on
think the
them.
intention. I think the intention of a meme is to essentially get people interested in the culture to begin with. I mean, if I see something in a meme, maybe like, okay, this is interesting. I want to see what this is about, and I probably go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I think that's the intention with which they create memes. The way people process them is a whole different.
I've been seeing
Okay.
Futurama memes for so many years. I didn't realize it was Futurama until
Same.
3 days.
No,
3
if
days ago.
somebody asks me, have I ever watched?
Not 3 days ago,
Futurama?
but like very recently.
Like I watched like 2 seasons, and I'm like, okay, I understand the premise, I understand it, but I'm not sure if I want to keep binging on it after. I think I'm out.
Oh, so Futurama is good.
Futurama is really good. I just didn't want to
Like,
spend
is it
time
like
on it
Rick and,
because I was
Rick and
watching
Morty?
something
Is it like
You could say that, but there's no time travel involved. Does that make sense? As in, there is time travel involved, but just not the way you think.
okay? So, but is it like there any cursing or like profanities like they do it in Rick and Morty, right? Oh, then I'm a game. Yeah. Then I'm game. Fully. Sign me up. I love aliens just. I love aliens just swearing and cursing on another. That's my whole thing. That's how I get my highs.
That was your parameter. Should I watch Futurama? Does it curse? Yes, I'm in.
It was an
By the way, so have any of you watched Fleabag?
no.
Yeah.
No,
I,
man. Actually,
I have. It's the most unique show ever created.
Yeah, you remember there is this guy who she dates, right? A guy with big teeth and he has a very deep voice.
Yeah.
That guy, okay. Have you watched Tom? Have you watched What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah. No, not the series. Only the movie.
Okay, if in the series there is a female vampire called Nadja, okay? In real life, she is that guy's sister.
Okay.
okay.
That is like the
So-
most. You know how when you stumble across rabbit holes, you tend to find out stuff about people, right? This was my
Okay.
rabbit hole for the week. I found out that this guy and the actress who plays Nadja in What We Do in the Shadows are related as brother and sister. You're welcome. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So basically, you realize that because they both have big teeth.
No, he doesn't have big teeth in real life. He wears big teeth in the show.
Okay.
How's that information helpful?
It's
Yeah,
not.
like-
I just went down a rabbit hole and I felt like sharing.
But Fleabag is honestly one of the most unique television shows, or for that matter, anything ever written.
For our generation,
And-
man, definitely.
And the most significant thing about it is it could not have been written by a man. I mean, it would just suck if you make a male version of this story. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Soham, you should definitely check this one out.
Fleabag.
Yeah, by
So,
Phoebe
yeah,
Waller-Bridge.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of my female colleagues talking about this, but I'm not okay. I think I'll give it a try. I love that guy Moriarty.
I want to use that. I want to use that line to insult you, but given that we're on a podcast and I love you, I'm not going to.
Why?
You
I
should
just
really
don't
have
want
checked it out by now. It's a really good series, and it's
No, that line, Tom. You know that line where Soham says, "I've heard my female colleagues talk about this." Do you realize there are at least 30 or 40 jokes that could have been written to roast him in that one line?
Yeah, I can't help it. It's just how our world is built.
Why?
I mean-
Why? Did I say something sexist?
No,
Then
it's just an opportunity for a roast banter.
no. Okay, we'll edit this out properly. But what's the roast like? Like
Go ahead.
You said your female colleagues were talking about this. Were they talking to you, or were you eavesdropping on them?
Oh,
oh, okay. It's better we not talk about this at all.
dun, 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 dun.
No,
thought so.
I'll tell you what. Like we were at pantries and at our pantry, so they were having coffee, and I wasn't eavesdropping. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was getting water. Okay, so I heard someone talk about like this series is really good, and the other girl asked like it was Fleabag, and that's the thing. I'm not a creep, by the way. Okay, I don't eavesdrop on people, especially women. Only on Facebook I do that. Okay.
Good to know. Good to know.
Okay, I'm not leaving this out, by the way.
You realize, of course, you're incriminating yourself.
Yeah. So if I out of the 20 people who watches this podcast, is one of them is a prosecution officer, then I'm done for.
Maybe one of them is a woman who won't listen anymore.
Yeah.
We just stepped into very shady territory. Let's slowly back away, like that Homer Simpson gif. Let's go back into the bushes.
Yes. And talk about Shudito. You tell other than Splitsvilla and Indian. What is Indian matchmaking all about? Yeah. Let's focus.
So just
Wait, Sudipta, before you start, let me just describe Indian matchmaking in one word.
Yeah.
Tom, Indian matchmaking is what's going to happen to Soham.
Yes.
What the hell?
Yes. He's a primary target for Indian matchmaking season.
What the hell?
Soham, if
I
you're
did not
getting a
realize
panic
the
attack or
road.
something, I apologize. This was just a joke. You are not a target
No.
audience. You are not a target for Indian matchmaking season 2. You do not have enough money. You're too poor.
What the hell? What the hell? Okay. So what is it about that I'm intrigued now? Like I know it's a kind of a reality show based on like the whole matchmaking thing that we
That's
get.
it.
But
That's it.
and why is it terrible? Like why is it terrible? And who is eating chips?
I'll tell you the basic premise of Indian matchmaking is that Seema Taparia, a woman named Seema Taparia, allegedly the self-proclaimed number one matchmaker of Mumbai, goes around the city of Mumbai
Matchmaking.
city of Mumbai and America matchmaking. Basically, yeah, she matches rich upper caste people or NRIs, upper caste Brahmin people and NRIs. And she finds these rich upper caste Brahmin NRI or non-residential Indian families, and finds matches for their children, whether these children want to get matched or not. Like sometimes some of the kids they do want a marriage, others they don't want a marriage, but their parents want them to get married because they're getting old. Yeah,
or
but
their brothers want to have children.
yeah, that too. So basically she tries to make marriages happen for very rich, very affluent, very well-off people, Indians, well-off Indian Brahmins or Hindus at least, who are either living in this country or in foreign country. Now,
Not bad. Not
yeah,
bad.
that is the premise. Now,
Wow.
here's what happens. Here's how she does it. As you all know, arranged marriage is less of a marriage and more of a trade-off. Like
Trade-off,
both parties look for a bride or a groom with this educational qualifications, this professional qualifications, this much income, this much height, this much weight, this ethnicity, this caste, this regionality, nationality, this many degrees, blah blah blah, yada yada yada.
and complexions. This
Bro,
Yeah,
bro,
complex.
it's basically like transfer season for football.
Yeah, exactly,
I-
pretty much.
I,
Pretty much.
I think you guys will not disagree when I say this, but this is the wrong show for Indian marriages. The right show is called Made in Heaven, and it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
It actually is a good show.
Except,
It's an excellent
yes, except Made in Heaven is fiction. This is reality. This show should have been a documentary. Indian matchmaking should have been a documentary about the realities of Indian arranged marriage, but instead they turned into a reality show where so-called, in quotes, quirky Indian people try to find other quirky Indian people and see if they match or not. Spoiler alert, they don't. None of the couples from Indian matchmaking have actually matched with each other. The one guy
Yeah.
whose engagement was fixed, he broke it off later on.
Oh man. Yeah, this is not a joke. He's actually not joking.
Yeah.
I
So-
gotta watch this show. I
Yeah,
got to
so-
watch this show.
So Indian matchmaking. See, it got a lot of hate for being of portraying this Indian arranged marriages in a, I don't know, less serious light. It got hate for portraying the treating women like objects and
Wait,
being regressive and all.
Sudipta, there's one important thing. Okay, dude, they were going on and on about the stars and astrology.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh my god.
There is a guy. There is this one
Face reader.
Babaji or Bhaiyaji in Mumbai. That guy will see your face and determine how many kids you will have, when we will get married, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Obviously, he's wrong. There is a girl in US. She met a guy that Seema auntie suggested. She met him. They took a liking to each other. They went out about 7-8 times. In between, this Seema auntie, she took their photos to this face reader person and asked him to tell the future. And I was like, oh, they will get married very soon. They will be blessed with twins. Spoiler alert: the guy ghosted him after a few more dates. The guy ghosted her after a few more dates. They did not go anywhere. The guy literally ghosted her.
See what I mean? So
So how is it not a mockumentary kind of thing?
It should be a documentary. But
trust me on this. I thought I was watching a mockumentary.
So this is like basically Tiger King, like the same level of unintentional hilarity of Tiger King, but
Yeah.
from the Indian matchmaking perspective.
matchmaking, yes.
Dude,
Yes.
dude, I'm going to talk about Akshay, dude.
Yes, please. I don't want to talk about Akshay.
Who is Akshay?
Kumar.
Akshay is one of the guys on the show. Okay, so he's like this rich kid who studied abroad and stuff, and is, I don't know, like lives in a very affluent family. Now Akshay has issues. Okay, his main issue basically is his mother. She has him on a leash. And when I mean leash, it got so bad that when Akshay was asked by Seema auntie what kind of girl he was into, he replied, someone like my mother. Okay?
Shit.
And they want
Okay.
him to get married as soon as possible because his brother got married the year before. And the brother and his wife want to start having kids. So because of that, the younger brother has to get married so they can enjoy the wedding and then they can go off and start a family. I'm like, way to make it about cock blocking your elder brother, man. Then definitely your elder brother's good.
I keep going around asking people, give me one good reason why you should get married, and every reason is just as bizarre.
This is great though. Imagine, okay, why should I get married? Because I'm cock blocking my brother.
You really
Like,
I'm like,
I think there's
the more I think about Akshay, the more it pisses me off. Like,
Yeah.
because he I don't know. So one important thing he should know, I think we should know about all these people who appeared in the show is that none of them actually came on to look for a bride. Their primary objective was to appear on TV. They went on a casting call and they wanted to appear. They went into the show because they wanted to come on TV. Finding a bride for them was secondary.
okay.
For number one. So
Okay.
after that, like, we had this character like Akshay, who is like like, either he's this spineless in real life, or maybe he's not as spineless, but the show portrayed him as this much spineless. Like, he can't do anything without his mother's approval.
dude, his mother scares me.
Yeah, man, his mother literally calls him a baby in front of his potential bride and their family. Like, oh yeah, baby. I'm like, what the fuck? You have a 25-year-old son. How do you treat him like that?
His mother is scary, man. Like real
Yeah, man.
scary.
Yeah, she literally bullied him into accepting the proposal.
Like he didn't have a choice. It was either do this, otherwise I'm killing you. End of story. If Norman Bates had a skeleton for his, and called it his mother, I'm telling you, this guy is like a Norman Bates waiting to happen. That is, if he's actually this bad in real life.
Jesus.
Yep, man. Yep. Absolutely. But again, I was immensely glad to see that in the end he had the balls to call off the wedding. He does not look like he's ready to get married at all. At all.
There was one guy I liked in the whole thing, and that was Vyasa.
He reminded me of Nihal, actually. I thought, like, I first
he
saw him, I was
looked
like,
like
hey,
Nihal.
what is Nihal doing in this show?
What?
Yeah, there's a guy like Nihal, and the best part is he also likes Hellboy.
He is
Oh,
totally like us.
that
Yeah,
is
man,
the
he's,
best.
dude, he's got action figures. He's got an entire row full of comic books, like an entire shelf of comic books. And he's like, what if she doesn't like Hellboy? I'm like, yes, that is a valid question right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So whenever I go see a prospect pick match, I should ask her, like, do you like Hellboy? Do you know who Anungun Rama is? like that.
I mean, if one of the girls rejected a potential match because the guy didn't know that Bolivia had salt flats. If
Salt
she can
flats.
do that,
Oh
yeah.
god.
Yeah.
Sorry,
If she can do that, you can do this.
What? The guy didn't know what?
That
Bolivia
had
has
salt-
salt flats.
Like, you must have seen pictures on Instagram and shit where there are cars and bikes driving over a place, like a surface so smooth that it perfectly deflects the sky. Those are the salt flats of Bolivia.
Okay.
Okay.
This
Like,
guy didn't know that Bolivia had salt flats.
So she dumped him.
I once unfriended a girl because she thought Bohemian Rhapsody was a band name.
Yeah, you're lying.
Not lying, dude. It's from my college. She and I didn't like her that much to begin with. Like, I was talking with her, and I was trying to, and I was like really lonely that evening. So yeah.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. How do you make everything
So
sound so shady?
Yeah.
So I was just talking normally, and then I asked her that, "Are you planning to see that movie about Freddie Mercury?" So he said, "Who?" Like, no. Then I sent her a link. I don't know whether she saw the link or like saw the video or anything. I think she just saw the thumbnail and said that, "Oh, it's that movie about that band, right? Bohemian Rhapsody." Like, what the hell? That was the last time we spoke, and a few days after, I unfriended her.
You do realize, of course, she could have just been saying, oh, that's the movie about that band, right? As in the movie's title, Bohemian Rhapsody, and not the band's name, Bohemian Rhapsody.
What?
Soham is now regretting his life. He's probably gonna look for that girl again and try to add her.
So,
No, what?
no, as in, you realize, of course, he could have just been saying the movie's name, not the band's name. Like, oh yeah, this is that Black Panther story when he actually appears in the Avengers. You know, that Avengers book. Kind of like that, like a throwaway reference. She probably couldn't have known that it was actually about Freddie Mercury or something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she just meant the movie title and not called the band Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh Jesus. Oh man.
Soham is like, I've won, but at what cost?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all coming back to me.
Let's yeah. I've won, but at what cost?
Someone just play that Bilal Syed meme, right? Oh,
Or we could play that one.
I actually I think I on the back of my head actually heard that music playing the moment Ishwas said that could have been about the band as about the movie as well. Oh Jesus.
Anyway, let's divert the topic back to Indian matchmaking and away from Soham's failed. I don't want to say love life, but
What love
Something.
life?
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so here's what the two things I dislike most about Indian matchmaking. Not the cringe. I expected it to be cringe. Obviously, I went in expecting cringe and I was not disappointed. So yeah. The first thing that disappointed me about Indian matchmaking is that one, it should have been a documentary. It should have shown the more realities of arranged marriage, instead of, I don't know, turning it into a joke, focusing on quirky people from rich quirky families looking for similar quirky people. Number one. The second thing I realized, the more important thing, realized that this is a show made by white people on an Indian tradition for mainly the consumption of white people. And
Wait. Apparently, the show was not made by a white person. It was made by an award-winning documentary filmmaker, if I'm not wrong. Just let me check this out. But you carry on, Sudhir. I'll bug you later.
Yeah, so basically, it was mainly made to be like, it was marketed for an American audience. Now, American audience, when they see this, they'll stereotype us even more than they already do. I mean, like, white people love to stereotype stuff, but after seeing this, they'll stereotype us even more. Like, there is the woman who dumped a guy for not knowing what salt flats are. Her mom is like, I wanted my children to have 3 degrees. Like,
You know what I actually said
Yeah.
when I got when that was going on? I was like, bro, I'm on my phone.
You remember that one girl who used to say like in order to appreciate Harry Potter you need to have a PhD. That,
oh yes, oh my
you
god,
remember-
Oh,
that
yeah.
thread was dumpster fire.
What?
She will probably want her son to have a there was one girl in some kind of like maybe it was in TCBS or in someone else's like photo thread or something. Like that guy was dissing Harry Potter, saying that it was some kind of like it is bullshit or something, like the books, not the movies. So this girl who was apparently a Potterhead came and said that what do you know, the Harry Potter Potterheads are scholars and PhD holders, and you don't have the brains to appreciate Harry Potter, and you need something like of like a distinction such as a PhD or a doctorate to fully appreciate the Harry Potter books. And everyone
Beautiful.
just jumped in and yeah.
Yep.
Even Ishwar, who is currently doing PhD, would think that's utter bullshit. I
I'm
think.
like, no, the best part would have been like, you realize, of course, when you say PhD, it could mean anything. Like even a dude doing his PhD in biochemistry or something like that.
yeah. I don't get the correlation of between the like academic distinctions and loving a particular book. Like, why?
They happen to think because of the years of intense study and research, their understanding of the book has kind of evolved beyond the perception.
Yeah.
They're basically Snyder fans. They're basically Snyder
Yeah.
fans. They think Zack
Yeah,
Snyder,
man.
they think their work is some escalated form of art, but it's not.
Art.
It's
Not,
not.
exactly.
It's just like every other book.
The
Yeah.
only
Harry Potter
form
is
of
actually
escalated
really
art.
good.
No, of course
Which
it's
one?
good. It's not bad, but what they think is it puts them in a kind of a higher pedestal. There's
There's only
Reading Harry
one
Potter.
book. One
yeah,
superhero book.
reading Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But it's a children's book.
Reading some superlative IP, they're thinking they're reading some superlative IP, and that's why it gives them more kind of it puts them on a higher echelon on this kind of
Yep.
thing.
There is superlative IP for higher echelons. It's called James Joyce, not J.K.
Yeah.
Rowling.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but exactly.
like,
But those are the things which are too advanced for people like them to understand. People won't be able to understand, appreciate, or even get into James Joyce. I personally can't. I mean, I don't like those kinds of books, but I don't go down pretending that the stuff I read is like high literature, high art, high this thing.
high literature. Yeah, and those who doesn't indulge in this kind of things, those are not inferior to me. So he's basically telling that I'm reading Harry Potter, I'm better than you, that. Yeah, so that's not that's complete BS, right?
You know what? I just realized something. Imagine, when any kind of IP was back, do you still think they would have had the same debates like their friends? Imagine if something like Anna Karenina or War and Peace or something released back then. Can you imagine the Russians fighting over who's more qualified to read Tolstoy or who's a bigger Tolstoy fanboy?
No, because back then you didn't associate your personality or existence with any kind of this thing.
Yeah, but
IP
that's
or
what we
anything.
don't know, right?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they would.
Don't think so. They had bigger things to worry about, like overthrowing their government or
This
the
is
totalitarian.
true. This is, but assuming it was something else. Forget Russia. I mean, popular literature, like I don't know, man. Something like what Charles Dickens would have, David Copperfield, Great Expectations. I've read Tale of Two Cities. I've read Great Expectations.
No, but
I'm in a better position because Great Expectations is better.
There was a following of Dickens, and then as opposed to that, there was a following of Hardy also. So that kind of thing was there.
I mean, think about it. Okay, Romantic era poetry also. There are like so many poets. Okay, I mean, there was Coleridge,
There are
Wordsworth.
Shirley fans and there are Coleridge fans, and then opposed to that, there are Wordsworth fans.
Exactly. So
And,
can you imagine fanboys having these kinds of fights back then?
They actually had those, I think. But they would be more civil in that particular debate. They don't go around saying that I have done this, I have done that, I have read this, and so I'm way way better than you. Like no one talks like that.
No,
Only-
but it's funny to think.
yeah.
Any of
Tom.
you follow this channel called The Middle Ground?
No. What is it about?
No.
Middle Ground is about getting people who believe in different things, and wait. I'll just people who believe in different things and making them sit and talk to each other. Sorry, this
Sounds
was
like a
not-
Joe Rogan podcast.
It's
Yeah.
like no, it's by Lad Bible. It's not Middle Ground. So
Okay,
there's a 10-minute video of two guys sitting and discussing Marvel versus DC, and
Oh, I've seen that one. I've seen that one.
it's a really cool discussion, and I think that's what Marvel versus DC discussion should be like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And now it has. Yeah. Tell.
No, because at
Suchita,
the
go
end
ahead.
of the day, neither of them matter. The only publishing house that matters is Image Comics.
no, Boom.
Yeah.
Boom, Image, Dark Horse.
Boom underpays.
Really?
Yeah, they
But-
underpaid their employees and stuff.
But well, that's sad because most of my current favorite work is from Boom. Like
Yeah.
we only
No, I
find
mean,
them when they're dead. Seven Secrets.
Culturally, though, like
Power
Image kind of
Rangers.
paved the way. You read Power Rangers? Is that good? No, because I haven't read. That's kind of
Yeah,
Yes.
up to Shattered Grid is fucking fantastic.
okay.
After Shattered Grid is also kind of good, but I've kind of fallen off the wagon. I need to like read it more
See, the
seriously.
reason I'm asking is I've never read a single Power Rangers or watched a single show apart from like the movie. Okay, Power Rangers was not really in my radar, even if it was on TV or
Okay,
whatever.
well, I mean the nostalgia definitely helps, but I think you'll be able to enjoy it even without the nostalgia.
No,
But
reason I'm
I think
asking is one
I
thing is the
think you will
nostalgia.
need the
Second
nostalgia
thing,
because like there is a scene in Shattered Grid where all the different Power Rangers from different eras come together and do this whole group pose, like endgame style pose. It probably won't affect you as much as it affected me because I grew up with Power Rangers. Other
Right,
than that,
right.
I mean, if you can appreciate like the whole the mythos behind it, then it's great.
The
If
reason
you
I
can't,
ask is this: I've never read of Power Rangers or watched Power Rangers. Assuming I wanted to get into, where would I have?
Yeah, same thing. But I have seen Power Rangers, but only like the new generations, like Dino Thunder and SPD, Mystic Force. But I don't remember the character's name or anything. I just remember like vague plot points.
so see, you don't need you don't need any pre-existing knowledge of the franchises to follow the story. You do, however, need pre-existing knowledge of the franchise to for the plot points to make an impact. Like
Right.
Okay.
yeah, like it won't hit you like I don't know. Like suppose what example can I give? Uh, like if you suppose you start reading any Marvel comic and you see some kind of thing that refers to some event that happened 50 years ago, but you have no idea about that event. That's the kind of thing you will feel when you read this book without having any knowledge of Power Rangers. You get it?
Okay.
Okay.
So
So basically, to appreciate Power Rangers, I'd have had to have knowledge of the task. But to
Yeah.
read it and get into it, I wouldn't have to bother.
Yeah, exactly.
okay. So just okay. So and I've heard it's like you were saying that it was the best kind of story on parallel dimensions.
It
Or
was
parallel.
actually. I mean, it was like the best, like parallel, like the best, like I don't know, cross material crossover in a long time. Like the way they integrated the different variety, all the different this thing, all the different Power Ranger versions into one cohesive story. Not everyone. It's not like every single Power Ranger from every single iteration got an equal chance, but however way they managed it beautifully. It's like if you follow the MCU from the start, you will see how cohesive Infinity War is. Similarly, if you followed Power Rangers from the start, you will see how cohesive a story Shattered Grid is.
I see. Okay. Okay. But I don't need to watch everything to
No.
know about it.
No, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
So who is writing it?
That guy, Kyle Higgins. He wrote up
Hey,
to.
Kylie Higgins is good, man.
Yeah, he is. He wrote up to
Kyle-
this thing. Yeah,
But
he wrote.
it is a fairly long run, right? It has some like 100 something issues, right?
No, not at all. The current one is only up to what 30, 35, I guess. Shattered Grids goes up to 25. After that, after Shattered Grid is done, a new writer takes over.
Who's the new writer?
Okay.
There was like maybe a 7-8 issue arc by this thing, Marguerite Bennett.
Oh,
and then
nice,
after-
nice.
Yeah, and after her arc is done, it goes to Ryan Parrott.
Ryan Parrott.
Oh, so Shattered Grid is kind of an arc in an
Yeah.
ongoing series.
Yeah, like the first mega arc which goes on for 25 issues. Yep.
So 25 issues. Okay. And tell me another thing. Aside from in the mainstream, since I asked this one earlier in one of the groups. So aside from the indie, this is an indie series, right?
Yeah.
So to speak. Yeah. So in the big two, like DC and Marvel, what is the best story or event arc? Like
You mean like a
aside from
crisis or an event?
yeah, like
Crossover.
yeah, crossover.
For me, it's
in
Secret Wars.
the old one or the new one?
New, obviously. Old one is good, but it doesn't have the depth and the scale and the intensity of the new one. And people who are saying otherwise are blinded by nostalgia. That's all, nothing else.
That even I agree. Hickman took a relatively good property but made it great. Actually, the same thing like happened with what is that? What is that like? Even to some extent, I like the Watchmen TV series more than the novel at some perspective.
Yep.
So, yeah. And tell me one thing. So how does since we're talking about multiple crossovers, so how does this Infinite Crisis kind of let's say links up to Crisis of Infinite Earth links up to Infinite Crisis, and then it goes to Final Crisis finally. How are these three crisis events connected?
Okay, so there is a ton of DC, given that, let's face it, all comic book companies have this problem of content retcons. Okay?
Yeah.
It all started with Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they kind of redid everything and brought it all back into one Earth. At which point they had timeline issues, right? So they used Hal Jordan and Parallax and that entire this thing 0 hour event to kind of streamline their continuity. But eventually what happened is key players from Crisis on Infinite Earths, that is Earth 3's Alexander Luthor on the Crime Syndicate's world, right? Alexander Luthor, Superboy Prime, and the Superman and Lois Lane of Earth 2, which is the old Earth 2, which is now defunct, were caught in this time bubble. Except, because of certain machinations, things kind of went south. Alexander Luthor was trying to bring back his world. Superboy Prime punched through reality, etc., and essentially we had the multiverse one. That's how they
came back.
die. Yeah, through one punch. One punch Superboy. Okay, so that's kind of how they tie in. Whatever happened in Infinite Crisis Crisis on Infinite Earths has a direct bearing on Infinite Crisis, given that you see a lot of the same characters. Final Crisis, on the other hand, doesn't have a lot. It does have some in terms of context to understand, but it doesn't have that much of an impact. Infinite Crisis on Final Crisis centers more around this little known event called Death of the New Gods by Jim Starlin, where the Source Wall kills off most of the new gods. That's the main. Yeah, the Source Wall kills off most of the new gods, and that's kind of where the story begins. Because the new gods were killed, most of them were reincarnated in human forms, or they had human hosts. And that's how Final Crisis starts. Darkseid starts infecting the world. If you guys, Sutirtha, you've read Deceased, right?
Yeah.
How does Darkseid infect the world with the anti-life equation?
He does it through Cyborg, right? Yeah.
Not just Cyborg, he uses something.
What does he use? He uses Black Razor, yeah.
No. He doesn't use just Black Razor. He uses technology.
Mother box.
No. Cell phones. He lets out the
Yeah.
Sudhita is just name dropping. Like Mother Box, anti-life equation, Speed Force equation.
No. There is no such thing as a Speed Force equation. I forgot. What happened?
There is an equation. 3x.
Equation.
9yz 4a.
Yeah. Ishwar has a eidetic memory. He remembers everything.
No, I was reading this thing, Flash Rebirth, a couple of days ago. So I saw that equation. Like Jessie Quick and her dad Johnny Quick have that equation.
Yeah. And that's how bizarre they just recite that particular equation. They say it out loud, and then they are able to tap into the Speed Force.
Shazam.
Shazam, yeah.
Shazam.
Okay. Yeah. So Ishwar, since you just talked about New Gods, so tell me some good recommendations for New Gods.
Okay, so there's obviously Jack Kirby's run on the New Gods. That is like a recommendation for anybody. It'll be weird. The language is going to be weird. The art will be weird, but just embrace it. It's kind of a comic
book is supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like peak Kirby. He'll write it like a space opera. Think of Star Wars before Star Wars.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
It's essentially Star Wars before Star Wars. And it's an interesting storyline also because a lot of the choices that he made for his characters were influenced by Jewish and Christian culture. Like,
Oh,
think about it, okay? His name, the High Father, his name is Isaiah, as in Isaiah the prophet.
oh,
So characters like these are kind of formed from their mythology and their culture. A lot of it, a lot of what makes Kirby unique, a lot of what has gone into the making. It's not perfect. I will admit it has its flaws and whatnot, but reading it is never enjoyable. Like he's written a solo Mr. Miracle, which I highly recommend because I love Mr. Miracle, and of course Tom King. Tom King, Mr. Miracle.
yeah. So
Guys,
speaking of
speaking of anti-life equation, what do you guys think of the third season of Young Justice?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I liked it.
it's pretty amazing. Best cyborg arc so far
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah,
cyber
yeah.
character.
Yeah, true. And I really love how the show progresses on generations instead of sticking with the same characters.
Exactly.
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 This is how
And-
they should work on like multiple generations, right? If they're going to do generation arc based stories, that's how you should do. Like, yeah. And the
Yeah, and-
characters, you can see how the characters are progressing and like learning from their mistakes and everything.
It's very
Yeah, and
organic.
Violet is supposed to be this blonde character from the comics, right? Who is
Yeah,
in this one a Middle Eastern girl.
yeah.
Who?
Violet.
No, Violet, the
Violet.
host
Halo.
for
Oh
the
yeah.
Hello.
host for-
Halo.
yeah, hello, yeah. She's one. I think she's my favorite in that series. And how and it ends in such a kind of like a like like you won't expect this to, because Young Justice has always had a tragic ending, aside maybe from the first season. But this one is kind of like they basically turn that Markov guy into this kind of the thing he wanted to be against. He turns into that essentially. So
Yeah, and I think that's where the show gets really mature from the previous season.
Yeah, previous
Because the
seasons,
interesting thing is Marco versus Deathstroke has been explored. Like Brian Vallakanda actually confronts Deathstroke and nearly kills him or something. Because he's so pissed off that Deathstroke was the reason that Terra died.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see
But,
that next season.
Yeah, but we are getting a next season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But that DC, it was a DC Universe app, right? Universe like app series, right? But that app altogether, I think it's going out of business. Or will it be integrated with the HBO Max?
They'll take all the content and put it on HBO. My issues with all the comics that they have.
Yeah, they have the comics, right? Okay. Yeah. Even you know what's weird? Hotstar also has comics now.
What?
Yeah, like motion comics.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm not kidding, dude. Yeah, it has motion comics. Like, you remember the Bendis' arc of Iron Man?
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh God, that was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. But they have turned it into a motion comic, and then they are putting it in Hotstar. I saw
Rest
it. Like,
Rest in peace, Sutirtha's mental state. No man.
Yeah, so
that was bad. It was bad. It was like the first 6 issues were good, where we saw the new armor and shit. After that, it was bad. Just bad.
Yeah, how come Bendis gets chance after chance after writing so much shitty content for both Marvel and DC?
Okay, it's like this. Okay, Bendis is actually a very good writer. He's created some amazing independent stuff that's influenced by a lot of criminal writing. Like all of the stuff centers around crime and noir and stuff. Like his stuff like Jinx, Pearl, Powers, and all are really actually well written. When he started writing mainstream comics, so let's face it, I enjoyed the Avengers relaunch that he. Okay, he's written probably one of the best runs in Daredevil history. It's right up there with Frank Miller, in my opinion. He's created Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah, that arc was really great.
dude, he's written every single Ultimate Spider-Man comic.
Yeah, that's and kept it like he kept the things going. Like they say, they maintained the same. And even the ending where spoiler, Peter dies. That's one of the most brutal deaths in one of the like most heart wrenching things I have ever read, so to speak.
Yeah, like I saved you. I failed him, but I was able to save you. Like
to save you.
When did Bendis get to
So
write
good.
characters so well? Like the point is he can, okay, but the thing is after a point you get overstretched. You tend to fall into a rut, writing the same characters over and over and over again. I mean, come on, he's been at Marvel for 18 years and he's given us, like, let's face it, Secret Invasion wasn't a bad event. There is a lot of stuff to unpack. This man wrote Secret Invasion. This man has written a ton of really good stories. There is no discounting, but this man did get over.
Yeah, he kind of overextended himself at the end. Like he's the same thing is happening with Donny Cates, I'll say. Like he's writing Guardians.
Cates is good. Cates is still great.
Cates is overstretched because think about it.
Yeah, but my main issue with Donny Cates' writing is he tries to, that's his whole gimmick is, so to speak, is to like tamper with the continuity or retcon stuff. Like that's his whole thing. Like just like he brings out new. Yeah, he brings out new characters. That Cosmic Ghost Rider, great addition to the Marvel lore, so to speak. But he that's his whole thing. He just takes like two different characters and he mixes them into one, or he just screws something with the timeline and then the ramification of that he plays, like works on that. His entire story hinges on that particular note. So that's what, because I'm saying this on the perspective of reading his Thanos and reading a bit of his Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm really enjoying so far. Okay, but aside from that, that's his whole gimmick actually. Like he's a good.
I agree. I agree. Donny Cates does deal in a lot of retcons, but that does not affect the quality of his stories. He tells each story very uniquely. He fleshes out each character very, very well in a very realistic sense. He develops their characters, portrays their struggle, shows them overcoming their struggle in a very realistic, very mature sense. Like, I mean, you look at Brock, you look at his Venom run. Like this Venom run had a better explanation of Eddie Brock's character than maybe his entire history. Throughout Eddie Brock's entire history, no one gave enough fucks about him to explore his character. Like every interaction Eddie Brock has with his newfound son is pure gold.
Yeah.
Like the time he apologizes to Peter Parker for all of his actions is like it's beautiful. Then there is, like, he's currently writing Thor. No, and okay, before getting to Thor, the time where Peter Quill feels burned out. Like he doesn't want to restart the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he feels burned out, and he's like lying in his bed, covering himself with a blanket, and Groot is outside banging his door. He says, like, Quill, the universe is in danger, get the fuck out, we have to save it. And he's like, fuck the universe, I'm done with this shit. That was so relatable.
Yeah, man. I can't handle you guys anymore. Please leave me alone.
Yeah. Like he does character writing and like his character writing is fantastic. Like the time and also another landmark thing, Rocket's origin. From Rocket's origin to the time when his mechanical parts became inactive and he started dying. His like the whole journey of how Rocket went from like this really cute baby animal to like this old wheezing broken thing was so like he does these hard hitting writing so well that you can't help but excuse things like his retcons and stuff.
Yeah, that I'll fully agree. Like, and his dialogues are really sharp. Whatever, the dialogue is very, it's quippy, a little bit quippy, but it's very sharp. Like imagine Tarantino writing comic books, so to speak.
If you're talking about Tarantino's dialogues writing comic books, there's only one guy who does dialogues like Tom King.
Yeah, Tom King. Yeah. So
Tom
here's
King
one.
will speak in monosyllables, but
Monosyllables, yeah.
manage. He
Yeah.
conveys so much more in just one panel than most writers can do it in an entire century of writing.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I'm being
this brings me to my next point, Ishwar. Is
Yeah.
Tom King the new Alan Moore?
no man, there's still a long way
this
for him
is
to
con-
go.
No,
There's
no,
a long way
no.
to go. No one can
Absolutely.
get to Alan Moore's stature yet.
you have to be a
Alan Moore
warlock.
and
You have to, yeah. You have to be a
Yeah,
warlock,
we do it.
essentially.
Tom King is
You
not
have
even
to
close to
sa-
Grant Morrison.
Yeah,
I
like,
love
dude.
him. I love his writing. I love what he does, but he's not even close to Grant Morrison. Forget Alan Moore.
Yeah, man. Think about it. Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, and Neil Gaiman are like holy trinity. Okay.
Holy Trinity, yeah. Living Tribunal.
Really?
The
I
three
would
phases of
probably replace Neil Gaiman with either Chris Claremont or Kurt Busiek, maybe. Mostly Chris
Nah.
Claremont, but okay.
No, the reason I disagree with Claremont is Claremont stuck to writing most one property which he built like an entire universe by himself. I have never I've seen Claremont write characters which are not X-Men, but he didn't write them as well. I've read some issues of him writing Iron Fist. I wasn't too happy. It was kind of boring. I was like, this cannot be Chris Claremont. This cannot be Chris Claremont is what I kept telling. But it was. But when you read X-Men, it's like
yeah, classic Claremont. Yeah.
This is how X-Men
Even
comics-
X-Men had a lot of great runs, right? Like Morrison, and then
There's Morrison, there's Claremont, Stan
there's
Lee, Jack
Whedon.
Kirby.
Whedon's run was good.
Yeah,
Josh Whedon's run was good.
There's Judd Winnick, this Peter Davids,
Brubaker.
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 Brubaker. Oh yeah, your lovely Bendis also wrote one run. Tom
Yeah, that
Taylor.
is okay,
That
but
was
that is
okay.
also fine.
Even Matthew Rosenberg started out well, but then it ended like, no, never. We are never doing this again. Matthew Rosenberg's ending was so bad, Hickman had to reboot everything and bring everyone back to life.
No, but that wasn't his fault, right? Like, okay, this is the ending. You need to make it as depressing as possible. So he did everything. I was like, yeah, okay, fine.
Fuck, Mandalorian season 2 trailer is dropped.
Oh, it's out.
Oh.
Good.
Anyway,
Okay. Yeah.
so
The
guys
reason I
like The
say
Mandalorian?
Gaiman is the guy that's won the most Eisner Awards, period. Let's face it,
Yeah.
Sandman alone by itself is like
Yeah,
Sandman.
Yeah, one minute, Ishwar, is Thomas saying something? I have not seen the Mandalorian actually.
I haven't either. I
You haven't either?
I'm the only one who's seen the Mandalorian.
I haven't seen the Mandalorian.
The
No,
Mandalorian, like
Mandalorian, not the Mandalore.
the Mandalorian, not the Mandalore. So Mandalorian, this thing is that how do I describe it?
It felt too much like a movie, which is kind of weird
Which
when
is
you're
good.
watching a. Yeah, which is good. If like the production is insane for a TV series. I'm like shocked like how good it looks, but it kind of also felt a little so slow paced as well because
Dude, for
we're
me,
watching
it's Star Wars. Okay, for me, it is very, very simply it is Star Wars. I cannot get into Star Wars lore. I am burnt out. Please leave me alone.
Yeah, the same force and all that bullshit, right?
Yeah,
No,
but the Mandalorian is done in such a unique way. It's like
No, I get that. It's just that
It's a
look, I'm the
it's
kind
a
of
space western. It's a space western essentially.
Space Western. Like, I'll give you an example. When I started reading X, I read Uncanny X-Men up till 230 or 240. Then I just read specific arcs. Like that's the kind of detail I like to do when I'm exploring it. I cannot sit and go through Star Wars. Too lazy.
Why? There are only like 9 movies.
What about the extended novels?
You
Star
don't
Wars
need to.
Legends
Those are all. They are all
Non-canon.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
they're all
that's just me.
non-canons.
Exactly. I
No,
would
but-
still read those. That's my problem.
Yeah, he's Ishwar is one of those guys who likes to see things through. I think like
Yeah,
he's a
I'm a
completionist. Yeah, completionist in essentially.
Like, dude, I'm still reading Captain America. I'm now only hitting issue number 400. I started at issue 100.
What
Like
the hell,
the-
dude? Three.
the first volume, right?
Yeah, 1968. whatever,
Okay.
whenever it was. I'm reading.
You're
I'm
at what,
only
400?
Yeah, I just come to.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
but
have 12 issues left. You have 12 issues left, and then you have to go on to the next run.
No, bro. There's
Yeah,
some
just-
600 odd.
Yeah, exactly. After 412, it goes straight to 600 because from 600 we have Bucky as Captain America. So before that, you have to read Wade's run, the Liefeld's run, the 90s
Yeah,
run.
yeah, I'm coming to that. I'm reading this guy's run. I think Englehart is still writing. Englehart and what's that fella's name? Kieran Dwyer on art or something. I forgot who I'm reading also. I
So,
haven't written.
so Ishwar, have you completed those Brubaker arc? I think you have gone through those, right?
Brubaker, I read. I mean, I read it before I started.
Introduction of
reading.
Winter Soldier, yeah, and everything.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff.
So, can you do me a favor? In Tachiomi, can you just? I am unable to find that particular arc. I have been meaning to.
Yeah,
read that. What's the
I'll-
name of? Yeah,
Just look. I'll just send you the link. Don't worry.
yeah.
That's one thing that if you send a link, like the Read Comic Book link to someone like on WhatsApp or something, it doesn't open on Tachiomi. It opens with the main website.
No, you don't open it on the main website. Don't look for it, and you have to look for it in Tachiomi. You can't open the link in Tachiomi.
Oh,
Like you can't go copy paste the link anywhere in Tachiomi. You need to go to the Read Comic extension, and then you have to look for the comic.
and Get Comics. Anyone uses that? I don't really like that.
I
nowadays.
do. Except we can't really talk about it for obvious reasons.
Yeah, obviously.
Legal
Let's
reasons.
just skip it. Yeah, for
I think-
obvious
I
reason.
Soham, I think what you can do is Captain America, then search with the year in brackets.
Yeah,
Like,
just search for the
Hmm.
year.
So it's
Year is
2010, right?
8.
Yeah. So
Guys,
Trial of Captain America happens after that.
No,
I'm
no,
not
not
feeling
even
too good.
2005.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling too good. I'm gonna take my leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure,
On
sure,
the-
bro. Yeah.
okay. I'll catch you
Yeah,
guys next week.
Brubaker is 2005.
Okay, man, Tom.
Yeah, bye, Tom.
Bye.
Take care, please.
Yeah.
I also have to go in a few minutes.
Yeah, let's just wrap this up. So I think today went pretty well, right? If we just talked about those things, and we didn't like everyone got their fair share of everyone wanted. This was essentially basically a chat between friends.
Yeah.
So how do you guys what do you guys think if we keep the format like this?
can.
Kind of.
Try doing this. If you're going to do a chat or something, ask us what we have experienced. Like we'll probably tell you top 3 things. Engage,
Mhm.
have a discussion with each person, and I think you'll be able to fill in content.
Yeah. Okay.
Like for
So-
instance, if you're asking Sutirtha, like what did you watch? TV show, reading, music, whatever. Ask him what he's done, and then we can engage and ask him. He's been reading Power Rangers, something that I've never done. So if I was to
Yeah, I
get
have to
into
get
Power
into
Rangers,
that.
yeah, if I haven't read Power Rangers, like Sutirtha will be the guy to.
Power Rangers, the thing with Power Rangers is sometimes it's incredible, sometimes it's just plain stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
It depends on the quality of the series. Like some series are
Series.
so good. Like
yeah,
the
Ninja
quality
Storm.
is like
Yeah.
maybe Ninja Storm. I don't know. I'd say definitely Dino Thunder, SPD.
Dino Thunder is also Mystic Force somewhat okay.
Mystic Force is okay. They kind of screw it up with the maybe the substandard protagonist. Operation Overdrive is
Yeah.
terrible. It's bad. It's just bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
Operation Overdrive is bad. Jungle Fury was good. RPM
Yeah.
was the best. RPM was the height of Power
Yeah.
Rangers, and no one can change my mind. RPM actually told a mature Power Ranger story. The story of RPM starts in a post-apocalyptic world. Humanity has lost.
Yeah.
To what is basically Ultron, and there is only one city left. One city left in all of humanity, and the Power Rangers have to defend that city against who
Machine.
is basically Ultron. Like
Okay.
that is the most realistic, hard-hitting Power Ranger story you can imagine.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
Bender's Road Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bendis Road is Jamal.
I
That's
just
why the movie
realized
sucked as well.
starting was really good. Come to think of it, not the movie.
Yeah. The ending it ended with Wolverine time travel and then killing himself, and I don't know, like all went
Wait, if
into-
you kill a time traveling version of yourself, doesn't it amount to suicide?
And of course, I mean, look at Flash season 3.
I haven't.
Yeah, Flash at this point, like it has become a complete comedy. Like
It has.
yeah, so it's so bad at this. Like, what a fall from grace. Okay, guys, so let's wrap this up. Ishwar, you can close the bot.
Yeah,
I'll do what? I'll just cut out the profanities and then I'll just update the whole thing. And
you don't really
obviously
have much of a choice.
yeah.
And please
Okay.
cut about the part about where you're quote unquote eavesdropping on your female colleagues about things.